Hi there and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you how I turned my rather old, shabby looking deck into something much nicer like this. And you know, this was actually quite a simple job. So you can see the deck at the minute's looking rather tired and mucky and grubby. It really doesn't look good at all. I actually considered completely replacing this and maybe going back over it with some composite deck. I thought that might be a good video for the channel. I thought it might be like hard wearing and a decent idea, but in the end I just decided I wanted to save some money, so I wanted to do this on a budget and see if I could restore it back to its former glory. You can see I've replaced a few boards here. The ones next to the wall were replaced because we had the rendering done and I damaged them coming up, and that one there in the middle was actually rotten, so that was a bad board. But the rest of them, although they look bad, most of it is aesthetics and they just need a good clean up. So that's what I'm going to be showing you how I did in this video. And the first job is going to be cleaning the boards. So to do this, I used a pressure washer. I actually bought this specifically for the job. I needed a pressure washer anyway for other jobs, cleaning paths around the house, cleaning the car, that type of stuff. And this one had really great reviews. So this is a Karcher K4. And I've got to say, I'm really impressed. You can see the rate that this is just taking all that grime up off the boards. And I was actually really surprised at how clean this pressure washer with two goes over these boards, how clean it actually got them. So I'll show you now just a little comparison of what this looked like before and after. And you can see, like before, look how disgusting and grimy they are. And the first clean there has got it quite a lot cleaner. Now, I will say there's still a bit of green on there, there's still a bit of muck, and that's why I did need to give it a second coat. But you know, even after one coat, it made quite a lot of difference. So this was relatively easy. It's just a case of going backwards and forwards with the pressure washer. I think to do one wash took me about 45 minutes, and then I let it dry out. And then the second one took me a further 45 minutes. But it's just a case of going over each area, giving it a good amount of time, cleaning all those little nooks and crannies, and make sure you get all that muck and grime up. So once I'd done this bit all the way down to the bottom, it was just a case of moving the log store out of the way and getting behind these items here just to finish cleaning that off. And then, like I said, I just let it dry out and sort of re-inspected. But this is after I've done two goes over with the pressure washer, and you can see this is actually looking really good. The wood almost looks fresh and brand new here, and you'll notice, if you can see, there's a new board, and the new boards towards the edge of the wall, they actually don't look that much different to this board right now. It's actually made quite a big difference. And this is even a better shot here. So you can see next to the wall, we have two brand new boards there. And they're not looking all that much different to the boards that I've cleaned. The only obvious difference is you can see the pressure treatment in the new boards. So they've got that slight green tinge to them. Whereas the old boards have had that completely stripped out over the last 7 years. Okay, so what you can actually see me doing now is just cutting in around the edge of the house. And the reason that I'm doing this is we've recently had the house re-rendered. Obviously that was an expensive job, and the last thing that I want to do is get natural oak oil all over the nice light render that we've got on the walls. So it was just a case of taking my time here. You can see I'm using an Osmo oil brush. I do highly recommend this brush. I use this for my cladding on my garden room as well. And it did an absolutely fantastic job. The bristles just don't come out of this thing, so you don't end up with a load of bristles stuck in the oil, you know, which is obviously not a good thing. Following that, once I had it all cut in around all the edges, I used this brush, and I bought this on Amazon. It was a kind of like a stand-up brush with a pole on it, and this thing was an absolute lifesaver because the cutting in around the edges, whilst it didn't take that long, you know, if I had to do the whole deck down on my knees with a paintbrush, I think that would have been an absolute nightmare. This thing just made the job a lot easier. So I was just doing it in a row of two deck boards at a time and just going backwards and forwards. One thing I will say at this point is I was using Ronseal deck oil, and on the tin, the Ronseal deck oil said that this would cover 40 square meters for 2 coats. And I can tell you that my deck is probably a little bit over 40 square meters, maybe somewhere around 45 square meters. And I ended up using 2 full tins. However, what I will say is the deck boards that I've cleaned and where I've stripped all the grime and dirt off them, they absolutely devoured this oil. They just sucked it up. As soon as the oil hit the board, it just sucked it up. Whereas when I went over the new boards, you know, it more sat on the top, you know, it wasn't quite as aggressive at sucking the oil up. So I think if you were doing this on a brand new deck, the tin would probably be quite accurate. It would probably be about right, I would say. But if you're going on old boards like I did, and you've cleaned them first, just bear that in mind. You probably are going to use quite a lot more oil. And I'll just point out now as well, the fresh board, once we'd oiled it here, you can actually see this stands out quite a bit. But I did resolve that by going over that with a second coat, which made it much more even. Okay, so once I'd finished doing that, I just went on to this final part here where I was just doing the step. I just did this by hand. Obviously, I'm down back against the walls again. I don't want to be getting any of that oil on. So this was the final finishing touch, just doing this little edge down here. And then once that's done, I'll show you what the finished deck looks like. So there you go. One coat, guys. I only give it one. On the tin, it does recommend two. However, at the rate that this was sucking the oil up, I figured it was the equivalent of 2 coats anyway. Would a second coat have made it more even and uniform? Possibly, but I don't think it looks bad anyway. It's not really patchy or anything like that. I'm actually really happy with the colour as well. I don't think I'd want it much darker. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to leave this over winter, and I might give it another coat in the spring. But you can see this middle one here, the rotten board that I removed and replaced, that has had 2 coats, and you can see it ties in much better now with the other boards. So there we go. I'm actually really happy with this. I think the oil's done a great job. I think the pressure washer did an equally good job, and you know, all in all, I think I spent £270 on the entire project, whereas if I'd replaced it, it would have been into the thousands. So this is the Karcher K4, highly recommended. If you want to get a decent pressure washer, definitely recommend this. And here is the Ronseal Ultimate Protection Decking Oil. So this is natural oak. Obviously you can get it in different colours, and you can also get a clear oil. Both fantastic products. I'll leave links in the description, guys, to the products that I used in this. But there you go, that's the finished deck. I'm really happy with it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.